Hey there, it's One Boom, and welcome to a video about esports versus normal sports. I hope you guys respect my opinion and enjoy the video. So people have been comparing esports to real sports recently, a lot recently actually, ever since Black Ops 2 technically, but in the last couple of weeks, I've noticed a ton of people comparing esports to real sports, and even an NBA player coming out and saying, esports players train just as rigorously as NBA players. And I'm sure he meant in terms of time, because there's no way he thinks that an esports player puts in as much work as an NBA player. They don't have to worry about endurance, they don't have to worry about the dexterity, strength, speed, athleticism. They don't have to worry about any of that. They just need to be able to learn the game, perfect their tactics, and sit on their ass for several hours. And that's not a bad thing, I'm just saying. It's not the same as an NBA player. There are very many, and I don't mean this in an offensive way, very many overweight esports players. And so I'm just thinking, oh yeah, I bet that guy puts just as much work into his League of Legends game as an NFL player puts into winning the fucking Super Bowl. Yeah, that's the same thing. And no offense to that guy, I don't even know who I'm talking about, but that's, that's the way it is. And I'm not saying that I'm, in any better shape. I'm a little squishy after the winters, but anyway, it's just the matter of the fact that you don't get to compare esports to normal sports. I mean, an overweight person can't go and just play basketball. Whereas in Call of Duty, anybody can just hop into arena and do well. I'm sorry, Call of Duty is not that hard. There's some people that struggle to get 30 kills a game. There's several people that struggle to get medium level score streaks. There's people that struggle to do all of that stuff and more. But if you're a slightly above average player, which is what I consider myself, I'm slightly above average, I don't think you're gonna have any trouble learning how to be an esports player. In fact, here's a list of things that I learned when I was becoming an esports player. That's right, I used to do competitive in Ghosts. I mentioned that in my Ghost Live commentary. Go fucking look that shit up. And sorry about my mouth. I'm very, Mom, if you're watching this, I'm very sorry. When it comes down to it, when you're an esports player, you need to learn how to be able to sit down and play video games, and that are mentally demanding. Video games are very mentally demanding and exhausting, and if you're doing a lot of nail-biting game modes, it can really take it out of you. So you need to build up an endurance where when your mentality can't be shaken after a couple of losses or several nail-biting games. You need to be able to keep that endurance. You need to be able to keep that momentum going for hours and hours and hours, and that is very important and is very hard to do. Other than that, I'd recommend a decent diet, get some fresh air, go for walks, and watch your gameplays back. There's a lot of other finicky things you can do, but to me, that's one of the best ways anybody can become an esports player, is just do those things. But when it comes to being a real sports player, a normal sports player, let's say you want to become a basketball player, well, you're gonna need to have the height, the dexterity, the hand-eye coordination, the eye-feet coordination, the hand and feet coordination, sprinting ability. You need to be able to run, because most of basketball is running from one side of the court to the other. Just endurance, strength, toughness, speed. Just look up the requirements of an NBA player. It's insane. Look up how football players train and look at how they play. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's not anything like Call of Duty or League of Legends or Counter-Strike. And yet I've heard many people, usually younger people, talk about how in several years no one's going to care about real sports, and esports take more skill than real sports, and football is nothing compared to League of Legends. And I've heard people say stuff like that. Esports is trendy, esports gets retweeted a lot, esports is on the rise to actual popularity, because there's a big difference between trendy and popularity. I might do a video on that actually. But when it comes down to it, nobody's hanging the optic flag during, the championship season. Oh, sorry, what season? There isn't actually. Is there actually seasons in esports anymore? Or at all? I don't even know. From what I can tell, they just play tournaments several times a month and they kick players out just as fast as they get them. But anyway, when you drive around Idaho, you're going to see a lot of Boise State Broncos fans. BSU. Boise State University, Broncos, let's go Broncos. And then you have people having flags of their teams, and they have down the street there is a Boise State Broncos fucking mailbox down the street from me. Not even joking. It says Boise State Broncos on the side of it. It's orange and blue and it's super pretty. And once a year, one of my neighbors takes out a big Denver Broncos flag and sticks it up in their thing. I've seen somebody take down their American flag to hang a football flag. I watched that. I watched that go down. You want to talk about fucking esports being super popular? No, it gets a lot of retweets. A couple thousand viewers. Maybe even 70,000 viewers. Maybe even 100,000. But it doesn't compare to the millions of people that have a ritual and a holiday for Super Bowl Sunday. Yeah. But I'm not here to tell you how dumb esports is and real sports are better. I think both of them are really boring to watch, actually. I'd rather just play my video game or, not go outside. That shit's scary. But anyway, I don't feel like people understand that when you try to grab the acceptance of a normal sport, something that's ingrained into people's lives like football or baseball or basketball, when you try to take that and take the acceptance and validation of it and put it towards esports, you look desperate. It makes esports look smaller than it already is. But I'm standing up for it. I'm talking about how much of a fan I am of it. Blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter if you're a fan of it and you're bragging about it and it's so cool, it's so awesome. When you're trying to grab the validation and the justification and all of that, you're trying to make it a real thing. You want to tell your family members how much cooler esports is. You want to tell your friends how much cooler it is and how much more fun it is. You don't get to do that because all that does to esports is actually hurt it. If the entire basis of esports is a bunch of people trying to grab the acceptance of normal everyday sports, then it'll look desperate and sad and it'll fade into obscurity. So let it have its own respect. Understand that even though real sports players like NFL players and basketball players, even though they definitely work harder than an esports player, that esports still deserves respect for what they do. They still work hard, and even if it's not as hard as somebody else, it's still hard and it still counts. It's still important. It's a skill, it's a passion, it's a hobby, it's a competition, and I love all of it. I'm not a huge fan of watching esports or normal sports. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like the way that either of them are laid out. They're not fun for me to watch personally. But I'm all a fan of competing against an enemy team, competing against the opposing force, and that's cool to me. I love that. So please let esports have its own respect and stop trying to grab the acceptance of something that's been widely accepted for way longer than esports. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And let me know in the comment section below what you think about esports. And let me know what you think about real sport, like normal sports, and throw it in there. Did you like The Force Awakens if you saw it? I personally really did. It didn't hold up exactly to how I felt. Like, it didn't hold up to like my childhood feelings of Star Wars, but I still really enjoyed watching it. It was a fun movie. And it's gonna be pretty cool to see what kind of new young Star Wars fans comes out of it, stuff like that. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, esports. Let me know what you think about esports in the comment section below. And yeah, I'll see you when I see it. Goodbye. Let esports have its own sport. I personally think that esports are great, but wait, no, I don't. I don't like them. They deserve respect. They're not great. Oh, this has been the longest video ever. I've been recording for 2.5 hours. If you want my personal opinion, esports is boring. Thank you all for watching my video. Goodbye.